Can you tell me about yourself? I'm working as a software tester and I have around 3 years of experience, which include 6 months of experience in manual testing and rest of the experience in automation testing. So the strong part of mine is like I have knowledge on core Java, TestNG, and I mostly do the automation on the UI side. So basically, I preferred Selenium. It's an open source tool. So and also I'm also learning API testing as well with the rest assured following the BDD framework. So like how exactly these things work. So this much about myself, yeah. Okay, so in 3 years of experience, have you get any chance to create a framework from the scratch in the automation? So no, I have not created the framework, but yeah, in 3 years of experience, I know the folder structure. I know the how the framework is like working. So if I get a chance, I will definitely perform entire testing creating the framework from the scratch. I can do that. So I don't have any problem creating the framework from the scratch. But yes. Okay, so can you tell me the folder structure of your existing framework? Yes, so in my framework, like in my company, they are using page object model. So they are separating the each page of the we can say that the web application as in one Java class. So we have source main and we have a test. Okay, where so we have two folder structure is there. In the source, basically we kept all our Java files like the pages because we are using page object model, and also we are storing there the utilities. Suppose we need some utilities to take screenshot or rerun the failure test cases, so that can be done with the help of utility instead of using the same functionality again and again. Okay. uh, yeah, so also we are using the base class, which is we are extending to our all the test cases which is present inside the test folder. So over there we utilize these things to like work on the framework. Okay, so have you used wrapper classes? Do you know like what is wrapper classes and where exactly you have used in your project in framework? Yeah, so wrapper classes basically it provide us the utilization where we can convert the primitive data type values like in we have float, double, we have these are the primitive data type which we can convert into object type, right? So this flexibility wrapper classes provide basically. So in my framework suppose we are using the collection, and suppose we are getting the web element which is list of web elements. Okay, and suppose we have a check boxes, multiple check boxes are there, and so when we are getting the response, there are n number of check boxes are getting, right? So that thing needs to be stored in collection. We can use in a set or a list. So that time we write like list, and in the bracket we write string or integer type. So that integer, or we can say that a float, that kind of things when we are using with along with we can say that the list or the set, that time we are using the wrapper classes. How do you define the generic? Can you tell me the example? Yeah, again, generic is used for we are using with the collection most of the time to suppose we are getting the list of response. So that time what we happen before generic comes into the picture, we are using non-generic, or over there we are facing lot of issues. So when the Java introduces the generic, that time what happened, it allow us to type safety, like when we do like list and creating the object like list one equals to new array list, and when we are trying to add list dot add, suppose one number, okay, and then again we trying to do add string like list dot add in double quotes ABC. So that kind of things we are using before generic come into the picture. But when the generic introduced in Java, what will happen, we specify like list, and with the greater than and less than sign in between we pass integer, double, float or string, any kind of I mean what kind of object we require exactly, and then we are creating the object of it like list1 equals to new array list. And in this way we are forcing to add the list of values which is integer only, okay. And when we do list in the bracket string, that time we are forcing to add only the string values, okay. That time when we try to add a integer number, that time it will give a compile time error. So thread safety is introduces, and we don't require the typecasting and all. And at the compile time only, if you are trying to add a list of string value in which you are adding integer, that time you will get the error. So that is the use of generic, and it is very useful. Okay, so as you said, thread safety and all, then can you tell me string is a thread safe or it is not? Yes, so string is basically immutable. That is, when we create the object of a string, we cannot change that, right? So in terms of in the Java programming, like whatever the things are immutable, that is not changeable, that all things are, we can say that it is a thread safe only. So yes, string is a thread safe. What are the different ways we can create the string object? Can you tell me? Yes, we can create the string or object with the two ways. Like we can create with the help of string literal and with the help of new keyword. String literal, we write the syntax like string s equals to in double quotes like hello world. And with the new keyword, we are like writing string s equals to uh, new string, and inside the bracket in double quotes we are writing hello world. So we are using new keyword. And when we using the new keyword, like the object is created for that string is stored in a heap memory, and when we use the string literal, that time the value is stored in a string constant pool. Can you tell me how to convert string to char? Yes, so we can convert string to char. There is two way. We can access the specific index value, and we can also get the entire string to be converted into a char. So first is like suppose I want to get a particular index value. That time what I will do, suppose I have one string s equals to a double quotes abc, okay. Then what I will do, the object we have created like s dot char add, there is a one method char add, and we can specify the position like 0 1 or 2, okay. And based on that we will get one particular character. So char c equals to uh, s dot char at suppose 0th index, so we can get that specific index value. Also we suppose we have to convert entire string into a character, then we have a to char array method. So s dot to char array, if we write, then we will get the character array and we will convert that. Can you tell me the difference between hash map and hash table? Yes, so hash map and hash table. Hash map basically allow multiple null values and one null key as well. So it uses the key value pair, so it will allow multiple null value and one null key. Whereas hash table, it does not allow any null value or any null key. Okay, it should be unique only. Hash map is basically it inherited the abstract map class, and hash table basically inherit the dictionary class. And hash map is a new class, we can say that, which inside the map interface introduced in JDK 1.2. And hash table is a legacy class which is already present in the Java. And also hash map is not a synchronized, I mean it is not shared with the multiple threads, because thread safety is more concerned. but in hash table it is a thread safe, and it can be shared with multiple threads. Since due to this sharing nature of hash map and hash table, hash map is not a thread safe, so it is faster as compared to the hash table because it is not shared with the multiple threads. And hash table is basically comparatively slow in compare of hash map because it's a thread safe and it is sharing the threads with multiple threads. Are you sure it does not allow any null key and null value in hash table, or is it opposite? Yes, I am sure. Like it does not allow any null key and null value in the hash table, but one null key is possible in hash map and multiple null values. Yes. Okay. So can you tell me what is iterator and what exactly the hash next and next methods are there? Why we are using this? Can you explain me? Yeah, iterator is basically interface, so it is present in java.util package. It has two methods. It has three or four methods, but basically we use two methods. Two methods are like has next and next, and also it perform two kind of operation, read and remove operation. So suppose we have one list. Okay, it contains the list of values, and suppose we have to iterate that list. Then we are using iterator interface, and we are referencing okay, iterator 1 equals to the list object which we have created, list dot iterator. And then we are using the while loop, and inside that we whatever the reference of the iterator interface we have created, we will use that iterator dot has next. So has next method basically it return the true or false value, boolean value. So it will check like it will return the true if the iteration has more number of elements. Okay, based on that. And another method inside the while loop, we have one more method. It has like iterator dot next. So that next it will return the next element. Suppose we have a list of values, so every iteration it will check for the next element is there or not. So this thing basically for iteration purpose we will use iterator, and it is kind of cursor also. Yeah. When you get the no such element exception, and what are the reasons you can say that for getting the no such element exception, can you tell me? Yes, so basically, no such element exception is thrown when we are trying to locate a one particular element which is not usually present in document object model. So there might be a n number of possible reasons, but one or two reasons I know, like it might be the possibility like the element which we trying to locate, it is not exist, okay, in the document object model. So what we can do is we can change the find by element what we do for locating the element, and we can make those changes and we will correct that to fix this issue. And second time what we can do, we have suppose element is there, but that element is generated based on the javascript as well, right? So sometime when the web driver attempts to find that element, it is before the javascript has created that particular, or generated that element. So sometime we can add some weight over there, so that once the page is loaded and after waiting for some time, then what we can do, once the javascript code or the elements is created, then we can perform the action on it. So in this way we can avoid the no such element exception. How do you read a javascript variable in Selenium WebDriver? For reading a JavaScript variable in Selenium WebDriver, we have interface JavaScript executor. So we will use JavaScript executor, and we will pass the reference JS and typecast with the WebDriver. Okay, and then suppose I have to get the title of that particular page. So what I will do, I will create string on the name, we can say that the name variable I will use, and then I will use the reference, that is the js dot execute script method is there in the JavaScript executor interface, and inside the bracket I will try to write like return document dot title. So I will get that title of that particular page. So in this way, like I can read the JavaScript variable in Selenium WebDriver. Can you tell me what is the difference between action and actions? Action and actions, basically actions is a class which contain s in the last, and action is a interface. So basically for performing the keyboard events or the mouse event or drag and drop things, we basically use action interface and actions class. Both the things are required. Okay. So we can say that, like suppose we have to do the mouse hovering thing, then we use like actions class. Okay, first of all we create the object of actions class, and then what we do, we use interface action, and we are passing the action class object dot move to element, and the particular element whatever we need to hover, that mouse hovering thing we need to perform. And then later on the reference we have created for the action interface, that reference dot perform we will use to perform the mouse hovering event on the particular web element. So it is a part of like action interface which contain the class actions. So uh, both the things are required actually. In terms of differences, like the actions class is basically uses the builder design pattern, which is useful for user facing API for getting the complex user gesture. That time we use actions class, and whereas we have action interface which is useful for the single user interaction, and it contains the method like perform. So that is the difference. Can you tell me the syntax or the command which will be useful for executing the test suites from the CMD? Yes, so the command is like we can just go to our project location, and then we have to type like java hyphen cp, which is a compile, and in the double quotes we basically pass the two location values. We can say that, like suppose our project in C drive, and then we are passing the location of lib star, and then again we are passing the C drive location and the testng slash bin. Then these two directories basically we are passing in the command, and then later on in the same continuation we are using org.testng.testng and the name of the testng file.xml. So this is the exact, I mean I don't remember the exact syntax, but this syntax whatever I've said is useful for, we can directly run our test suites from the command line. Can you tell me the different annotations and what is the difference between add factory and add data provider? Yes, so add factory annotation is basically useful. It will create the instance of test class at runtime, and also all the test method of testng class is there, which will execute with the given sets of data we have provided. Okay, and at the other side, like at data provider is only applicable for test method which comes immediately, like whatever we have provided, like it will specific to the method, like how many number of times the values the return by the data provider, that number of times the row count will be returned. Okay, so it is specific to the method, and whereas the add factory which will work on the testng class level, and it will create the instance as well at the runtime. What are the methods available in testng itest listener interface? Can you name them? Yeah, so in itest listener interface, it contains on start method is there, on test success is there, on test failure, and on test skip is there, and on finish is also there. So this number of iTest listener interface methods are there. Have you worked on database like DML DDL commands? Yes, so basically I know the SQL part. I don't know much about the PLSQL, but I know the basics of SQL, and I have worked on DML and DDLs. Can you name them, DDL and DML commands? DDL stands for data definition language, which consists of, like, we can create, we can alter with the records, we can drop the table as well as the data, and we can use the truncate as well. So these are the common DDL commands, whereas data manipulation language, like we can use insert, update, delete, or merge. These commands are basically useful for the DML commands, we can say that. So yes, these are the DML and DDL commands. Suppose you have one employee table, and if I ask you to find out the second highest salary from that employee table of the particular employee, then how do you do that? Second highest salary from employee table. Here, for the highest salary, we can use the aggregate function, like max. So like the command will be select a max aggregate function, and inside bracket we can use the column value like salary, okay, from employee table, where uh, again the column name we will use like salary, not in we can use, and again we have to pass the subquery, like again we will use select max and the salary inside the bracket from employee table. So in this way, like, we are trying to get the salary of an employee which is not in max. So in this way we will get that the second highest salary from that employee table. uh, yeah. Okay. Are you sure? Is this right? Uh, I have tried, like, I'm not sure much, but yes, like in this way, like the logic will be like this only, to find out the second highest salary. Okay. Uh, can you tell me how do you calculate the length of a string? Suppose you have one string, okay, in the database, and you have to calculate the length of that string. So if you know, let me know, like, how do you calculate? Calculating the length in the database. Suppose I have one string and I have to. Okay, so in the database, like we have one, I guess, character function, changes or character manipulation function is there. So basically this will help us to find out. Suppose we have one string, and we have to find out the length of string. So the command will be like that, select, and we have one length, okay, length function, we can say that. So select length, and inside the bracket, in a single quote, we can put our string. Suppose hello world, uh, automation, selenium, anything, okay, from string. So suppose this syntax, when we run in our database, it will give us the whatever the string we have passes. So the length of that particular string will be returned. So the command is select length, and inside the bracket hello world from string. So it will give us the length of a string in the database. Okay. Can you tell me why we are using view, and what is the syntax of view? Yes, so view is basically, we use for the virtual table. Suppose we have a tables, and with the help of view we can create our own table, virtual table. Suppose we have to use a few things in that particular table, and we want to use multiple time, okay, without affecting the database and the response time as well. So we are basically use the concept of view to limit the table that we want to display only. Okay, so we can use the join query as well, and it is the same table only based on our SQL statement. We will get the like records whatever we need. Okay, and it is actually not taking much more space as well, and it is a fast and response also. For creating the view, we have a syntax like create view, and the name of the view we have to pass, and we use the keyword, we can say that as, and then our normal query like select star from employee, where employee gender column we can say that equals to male. So when that we have created the view, but when we have to run the view, then whatever the name we have provided at the time of creating the view, we will use that, like select star from the view name. So in this way we can whatever the view we have created, we can use it, I mean view it. Okay, last question from the PLSQL side. Like, can you tell me what is the use of stored procedure, and why one can go with the stored procedure? Like, why we need to use the stored procedure? Uh, okay, so I know a basic like stored, what is the theoretical concept. Like, I have not used that. But stored procedure, what I have heard, like it will save our time. Like, suppose we have prepared SQL codes, like more than one or two SQL code, and we need to combine that code, and that time the same code we want to reuse again and again. That time, like stored procedure, it will be giving us benefit. So write the SQL query, and you can use over again and again. Okay, so that will save our time, that it will save our time as well as the effort we are writing the same query again and again. And suppose like the syntax we can use, like again like we have used for view. So create procedure, instead of view we can create procedure and name of the procedure, and then we use as keyword, and again we use same SQL statement, we can say that, like select star from customer, and we can say that in the last we use go and semicolon. And suppose the same procedure I want to execute multiple time, then for executing the stored procedure we have command like exec and the name of the procedure and semicolon. So in this way we can create the our stored procedure, as well as we can run our stored procedure. Okay, so I'm done with from my side. Do you have any questions? Yes, like which technologies like in your companies are using, and if I get hired, then what kind of work I will get? Like it is on web automation, or it is like manual, or database testing, or what? Yeah, so basically we are trying to figure out the candidate who has the experience on API side as well, because the candidate needs to be know the both the things, like the UI automation along with the API side, so that he or she can work with the database as well, to validating the API responses and all things. So yes, it is a mixture of both the things, and definitely will get a lot of new things to learn. Okay, thank you.